Well, that broke the illusion. I'm coming in completely blind! You already broke it. Yep. Yep. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, no. Nah, I prefer to go in blind. Alright, let's do this, son. You ready for the Leroy Jenkins moment? What's the first? Killed me! Howdy, folks! Show up more than once a month. What? Oh boy. Well, I'm Code V. I am batshit insane, and so I've been told, and I have sort of a Rocky complex with the Kingdom Hearts franchise. My favorite video game character is, I'd have to say, Terra and Ford, because fuck you. He'll half-ass chick, best chick. Heck, all waifus are trash. Hey, all Mike. Alright. How old do I feel? I'm gonna go with age is an arbitrary number that we only give, that only has meaning because we give meaning to it, so that's my answer. 44,876. Ooh, my favorite villain. I'd actually have to say it's a toss-up between Kefka Palazzo and Arden. I'm pretty sure one of them's highest. Kefka wins! Kefka fucking wins! I'm sorry, Pennywise, but I don't think you got anything against that psychotic clown. We're going balls deep into Final Fantasy, aren't we? Animu? Animu! Animu! I can hardly hear you. You're having some peaks and drops. It's going all over the place. And for a while there, it sounded like your microphone was disconnected.
Okay, first of all, I just might have realized that if I had no audio for the first part of it, I apologize, because it seems that my OBS decided that I was going to randomly cut off my audio, but that's besides the point. You're saying that you can't hear me that well, Code? Yo, reading is good. Yeah, I can't do anything about my audio, Code. You'll have to turn me up.
I apologize. I feel like I just ripped my throat apart with that sneeze.
Well, bless you. It's okay, I pull all-nighters too, for other reasons. Anyway, today's topic is Final Fantasy.
What?
All of it. The entire franchise is open for discussion. That's right. You know why? Because talk about one Final Fantasy will require us to actually prepare, research it and stuff. Doesn't help when I'm not going to tell Code what the topic is until he's in the call and we're live. So, talk about all of Final Fantasy, pretty easy.
Yep.
So, with that, Code, we usually have a format that we don't follow here. So, we're going to start from the earliest iterations. Let's talk about this little known game. You might have heard of it. A lot of people might have. For the Nintendo. It's called, for the original Nintendo Entertainment System. It's called Final Fantasy. What do you know, sir, about the original Final Fantasy?
I will have to interrupt right there and say I've never played the original Final Fantasy.
Oh, you haven't?
Now,
that's kind of surprising.
The closest I've gotten was Final Fantasy Origins Final Fantasy for the PlayStation.
Oh, that's fair.
That's also how I played the bit of 2 I played. I don't remember how far I got.
Alright, well, I'm gonna briefly introduce it. Final Fantasy is a JRPG. You know, it's a franchise of them now.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of entries into it. There's been multiple remakes and such. But it's a very know franchise. A big name drop, you know? Like, a lot of people know of it.
Isn't it currently considered to be, what, the granddaddy of the JRPG genre?
No.
You know, just in my mouth.
No. That's Dragon Quest, actually. Dragon Quest is... and Dragon Quest inspired a lot of what is known as the most popularized version of it, because Final Fantasy has a big departure in later installments of it with their introduction of technology.
Dragon Quest was the grandfather, not the grandfather, the godfather.
No, Dragon Quest is the original. Dragon Quest actually, I believe, came out. Let me do a quick search, because I can look it up with the power of Google and Wikipedia's. But Dragon Quest came out first released as Dragon Quest in 1986. Dragon Quest does, while Final Fantasy first released in December 1987, over a year and a half later. Final Fantasy is up to main series entries, technically 15 was the most recent release, and its various iterations of said 15. That doesn't mean that other games within the genre haven't gotten sequels and or spin-offs. Or there haven't spin-off series of games, even.
Oh, the spin-offs.
But, you know, just harkening back to the original Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy was a game created by Hironobu Sakaguchi. A very famous name drop right there for anybody that knows Final Fantasy or knows Square Enix. Or Squaresoft, I guess. Yeah. It's a lot, Sigma. And to be fair, like, Final Fantasy 13 also had 13-2, Lightning Returns, 10 had 10-2, you know, 11 and 14 are MMORPGs.
I refuse to touch,
12 had 2 other spin-offs. I can't remember the names.
I'm gonna say that right now.
Huh? What'd you say, Code?
I just saying that I refuse to touch any more of 13 than I already have.
Okay, yeah, and obviously to mixed results to some of the fans of the franchise. But I will say that the original Final Fantasy, very similar to Dragon Quest, started as a game where you adventured into a fantasy-like world and you beat a dragon. A big difference between the two is, I believe original Dragon Quest had, you played as one character, and the original Final Fantasy, you had a party. So, but ultimately, it's this style of RPG game where, I can't wait for Final Fantasy 100. It looks so good. It'll be out in like 47, 20, maybe it'll be out in like 80 years. Actually, going by like about how many it's also not really a main canon. Dragon Quest also builds upon its world with successive releases. Final Fantasy does the exact opposite. It basically resets and makes each game a standalone game. So you could be like, oh, I really liked Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 3, Final Fantasy 6, Final Fantasy 8.
With the exception of sequel games, such as For the After Years, or Her 10-2, or like we've already mentioned.
Yeah.
And like 13-2 when Lightning
Exactly.
Returns.
So like, but like you can pick up like Final Fantasy 6 today. Right now, play it as a standalone JRPG. You're like, wow, a great 16-bit JRPG. Absolutely right. And then you could like you could pick up like Final Fantasy 10, but oh man, I really like in my life, loved it, 10 out of 10, ha. And they stand alone. Whereas Dragon Quest doesn't do this as much as some other franchises. Definitely not some of the interconnected ones, because you look at the Kingdom Hearts franchise from Square Enix, and whoa, things are different there. But like,
that is one rabbit hole to go
but
down.
like, essentially, the only things that really carry over from one Final Fantasy to another is like names of spells and summons, or wherever the game calls summons. And that's about it.
Spell names for the most part.
There's some recurring character names, but they're not
enemies.
Yep, and enemies, true. And there's some recurring characters.
Are the same.
Yep.
And a lot of them summons are the same, but there are exceptions. The notable one in my mind sticking out being Final Fantasy 12 having different summons than in every. As far as I know, the rest of the franchise, I haven't played it.
It's because it is based as an originator story to Tactics.
Oh, so it is the same world as Tactics.
It is the same world as Tactics. But that is that's closer to what Dragon Quest does, which is all the worlds are kind of connected from game to game. In Dragon Quest, which we're not talking about. But in Final Fantasy, it's more like, hey, we have all these assets. Let's make a new story. Let's make a new game with it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of JRPGs draw from basically these two original games: the original Dragon Quest game, and the original Final Fantasy game. And they definitely draw from one another. Like, it's no secret that having like, Excalibur being a really decent sword in the majority of Final Fantasies is a reoccurring thing. Sometimes better than others.
Yep.
Alright, have fun with your book, All Mike.
Yep.
Actually, I was reading too before this, but it wasn't Final Fantasy related. It was something else. Anyway. But yeah, like, so, yeah, no, it started, it came out in 1987. It's called Final Fantasy because it was Sakaguchi's, the creator.
Last attempt
not Square
at making
Enix,
a video game.
not Squaresoft, not Square, but it was Sakaguchi's kind of last foray into, alright, let me make something before I'm done. Before the company fires me, basically. And it was a success! Surprisingly or not. It sold so well. To the point where it's a name and brand that probably will not die anytime soon. Like literally, like Square Enix today, which is a merger of SquareSoft and Enix.
I cannot hear you again.
Can't hear me. Why can't you hear me?
I don't know. As you were going off, it just slowly petered out to where I could barely hear you.
All right. But yeah, like yeah, just to give you a quick like snapshot of how large this franchise is. Final Fantasy 15 came out in 2016. The original Final Fantasy came out in 1987. And there aren't only 15 entries in this franchise. Because I said the franchise. That includes books, light novels, movies, shorts,
web novels. Can't forget
remakes.
Those that done that. Those all of the spin-off games.
But the Final Fantasy, like, and this is like a lot of early video gaming. The Final Fantasy franchise definitely started as you're basically gonna have one every year, one every other year, and that's how it originally started. If you look at the first 6, which is between 1994 and 1987, yeah, that's 6 game releases in 7 years, right? Yep. So they released 7 of these. They released 6 of these in 7 years, and then and which ended with the first 3 being on the Nintendo, the 4, 5, and 6 being on the Super Nintendo. All phenomenal games. All 6 of these, with the exception of maybe 2 sometimes, depending on who you talk to. Phenomenal games. Anybody who says they don't like 5, fight me.
That was fun.
Yeah, and then there's a 3-year hiatus because a little thing happened back then. Code, do you know what happened back then?
Oh god, I have actually seen quite a few did you knows about it, and as I'm trying to immediately call it to my head, I can't think of it. The specifics I do know for time and Squaresoft then Squaresoft, now Square Enix, had a falling out with Nintendo over decisions Nintendo had regarding the Nintendo 64, and I'm losing my shit now.
It's okay. Yeah, essentially what it came down to is that's like a part of it, Code, and that's actually absolutely true. But the reason why that happened was because of the move on Nintendo's end to make a disc drive
with Philips.
Yup. Where Sony got backstabbed because Nintendo and Sony were going to make a disc drive based console game system peripheral, maybe. And actually, very recently, the first prototype of it, which is called the Nintendo PlayStation by people now, surfaced and actually works. Very interesting. But so there was this deal that resulted in, essentially, to keep it very, very dumbed down, into Sony going, "We're making the PlayStation." Code, on a scale of 1 to wow, we shot ourselves on the foot with that one. How bad was that for Nintendo?
Shot themselves in the foot? I'm pretty sure they blew their fucking leg off. Considering
they literally Nintendo
rival, it's what created their primary rival.
Nintendo literally created their own worst enemy.
Yep.
Which, to be fair, now everyone's a little bit more friendly about it. But for a long time, there was you got Sony and Sony games and games on their Sony products, and then you got Nintendo and Nintendo games on their Nintendo products. So it was very interesting, but it also meant that a disc-based Final Fantasy that was probably in the works, you know, had to be put onto a disc-based system. Compact disc. CD. Guess who got Final Fantasy VII in 1997?
Well, Sony PlayStation.
Sony PlayStation. And whether you like it or not, because I know a lot of people are like, oh man, I hate Final Fantasy. It is one of the most revolutionary games, and it redefined the JRPG genre going forward for a ton of people. By the way, the real reason why Final Fantasy VII was delayed was so much later than Final Fantasy VI also probably had to do with the fact that Square Enix, Squaresoft at the time, had a ton of video game releases. A ton of RPGs. A ton of JRPG releases. You know?
So much you could shake a stick at.
Like, you know, we talk about the fact that in between 1987 and 1994 they released 6 main entry Final Fantasies. That doesn't change the fact that they released a ton more stuff in that time. But, you know, we don't care about that. We go, hey, you didn't release enough Final Fantasy stuff. They released a film, Final Fantasy Legend of the Crystals, in 1994.
I forget that one exists.
Oh, it's the Final Fantasy OVA. That's what it is.
I forget that one exists.
Yeah, no one talks about it.
No, it's easy to forget it exists when, again, nobody talks about it.
Yep. So they released this OVA in 1994 as well, which nobody talks about, so whatever. Anyway, they released Final Fantasy VII, and it was so successful. The internet had a hard-on for Cloud that was bigger than his Buster Sword for, like, forever.
Pretty sure the hard-on was bigger than Cloud's Buster Sword and longer than Sephiroth's Masamune.
Yeah, it was a pretty big thing to happen at the time.
Which I want to note is which literally extends 7 feet.
You know, we don't talk about the fact that he wields a 7-foot blade. It's like, Sephiroth, the sword is as long as you are tall. How do you wield it?
It is longer than he is tall. Well, maybe not if you had him lay on his back and had his hair they're spread out behind, going past his head. But then again, genetically engineered super soldiers with alien cells injected in them.
Mm-hmm. And you know, Sakaguchi's still going strong with Final Fantasy VII. Like, Sakaguchi has been either the creator or the director or the producer of like every Final Fantasy game to date so far, and it shows. All the way up through 9, and 10, and 11. Oh, okay. He went all the way to 12. Did they never get rid of him? Oh no, 12 he just got special thanks. I wonder what happened. But yes, anyway, so yeah, so Final Fantasy, basically, Final Fantasy VII itself was a very stylized entry into the Final Fantasy franchise. Like, it's not like the game was new to experiment with showing off technology and stuff. I believe in 6 they had the little mechs, right? Code?
What?
In Final Fantasy 6 they had the little mechs.
Yeah, there were little mechs
that you walked around in. But Final Fantasy VII was full-blown, very different, very technology-heavy. You started in essentially a slum. A modern-day looking slum.
I'm gonna go change my headset. I'm having a little issues with this one.
Okay. I'll be here. Yeah, so you had this, Yeah, you had this like you started this like modern looking slum. You're in a town. You're in a city, not a town. You're in a city that is bustling with life and people. You know, that have a very divided class class system based off of people who live on top of the plate, people who live under it, basically get no sunlight. And this entire, and by play I mean it's this entire like series of Mako reactors. The reactors that basically literally suck the lifeblood of the planet for energy. So, you know, it doesn't sound too happy. Squaresoft, not new to making games that have some politically challenging elements to them. Environmental friendliness being this one, being a focus on this one in particular. You know, they released this game, and it has some pre-rendered 3D cutscenes that blow people's minds out, and it has a 3D based overworld. Doesn't look the best, as most people will tell you. One of the famous tropes of this Final Fantasy is its Popeye arms. So it's not the best looking game, but you know it's a newer looking setting than the previous entries.
What? No.
It has a very famous now more than 20 years in the 30 years, 20 years in the making. Linda, it's definitely worth it if you got it for $10. Final Fantasy 15. Doesn't matter if it's good or not. Like, I definitely got more than $10 in enjoyment out of 3 hours of gameplay alone. So.
Hello?
Yo, how's it going, Code?
Oh my fucking god.
What?
Well, I can hear you, but I literally have you coming out of my computer speakers now.
Oh, that's a big oof.
Yeah.
I am the computer. I am the computer, Code. This is, trust me, when I did this with Meth, it was easy, because I just, you know, he just sat in the same room as me, because we're roommates. Final Fantasy 13, 1 through 3, that one's going to be a little bit more debatable. I personally don't mind the second one, which is the least popular, I think, the 3, for many reasons. Now, like, originally, I wrote out Lightning Returns was the worst of the 3, but I disagree. But if it's $10 total for all 3, definitely worth it. If it's $10 each, pick and choose your battles. You got 15 already. And that 15 could be either a 25 to 30 hour game, or it could be a 150 hour game, depending on how you play it. So, that's my suggestion. If you got Final Fantasy 15 for $10, stick with that one. Play it out. So yeah, like Final Fantasy 7 had big impact, and that was a big thing that happened, and to the point where, you know, everyone's like, yo, 3D gaming is a thing. You know, successes. Actually, Squaresoft, at the very least, they continue to improve their graphics as the game releases went on. If you look at Final Fantasy 8, it looks good. I mean, that's the only thing going for it, in my personal opinion. I think Final Fantasy 8 is a very cut and dry, not that good game overall, for many reasons. But oh, you do it. It's a Final Fantasy title. I can totally go into that right now. I felt that the entire equipment system as a whole was weak, because you could junction Ultima to everything and then just be OP. So I felt that Final Fantasy VIII was very lacking in that. The main character is not likable, in my personal opinion. Not likable. Literally has less personality than Cloud. And that's not saying Cloud was like, oh, I'm a very charismatic. Like, Cloud was a main character. You're like, he's meh. He's like, I act like a bad boy. It's like, yeah, you're trying too hard, guy. But Squall was even worse. Squall's like, man, I have less personality than that. It's like, hi, my name is Wall. I don't move my facial features. Like, that's why I didn't like Final Fantasy VIII. It's like every character, like if Squall wasn't in it, the game would probably been a better game, in my opinion. Alright, Code. Code say he'll be right back, guys. He's suffering from audio issues on his end, which we cannot help. But the show must go on! And I will not lie, yeah, he just had to call. He'll be back, guys. I will not lie. In terms of, I'm not gonna lie. In terms of Final Fantasies 7, 8, and 9 especially, those actually came out towards when I had my own PlayStation, so I can play them on my own time. Before then, you know, I had a Super Nintendo, but I didn't have a PlayStation system for the longest time. So, well, playing these games was a lot harder for me originally. Hello, Code. Hello, welcome, Hurt.
Hello!
Yo.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, for whatever reason, my laptop is just being the biggest prick right now. Oh, it doesn't really want to work with me.
That's fair. It's okay. I was just talking.
Fucking shit.
I was just talking about how much I didn't like Final Fantasy VIII.
I'm gonna argue with, did anyone really after enough exposure? Or although
okay, Final Fantasy VIII, however, did have Triple Triad, which is the best minigame of all time.
Because I cannot remember his name, but he voices Noctis in Final Fantasy 15 and the Master of Masters in Kingdom Hearts back cover, but he actually did admit that his favorite Final Fantasy was 8.
Well,
yeah.
Who do you voice in Kingdom Hearts?
The Master of Masters in back cover, the movie 8.8.
Yeah, it shows. Of course he liked Final Fantasy VIII. What do you think he was doing in that in back cover? Oh, you want to talk about flashbacks and memories? Hell yeah. Final Fantasy VIII, hell yeah. Final Fantasy VIII is a shitty game, guys. Don't play it. What? Actually, no. Just play Triple Triad. Get to a point where you can start playing Triple Triad. Triple Triad is the best minigame.
Henry, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here, Code. But yeah, like, Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 are from a time when I owned my own PlayStation. Yeah. Code? Uh-oh. I don't think,
No, I can't.
Okay, that's weird. I can hear you just fine, too. There you go. Sending Code messages.
Fucking fantastic. What the fuck did I do this time?
Check your sound, check your Skype sound settings for
oh god, what did I actually do this time?
Your preferences. So this is sometimes the technical difficulties we do. Creechy, sure, don't care that much.
Right. This is the damn thing moans.
Not as relevant. I mean, I guess watching hentai.
No, I don't want to do that. Fucking.
This is great, guys. So sound will always be a problem. Anyway, going back on track. So Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, like I was saying, is 3 games that I got to own and play by myself essentially, because it was a time when I got my own PlayStation and I wasn't playing on my cousins anymore. Because back when we were kids, like when me and my cousins hung out a lot, I'd be the guy with the Nintendo products and they'd be the guy with the Sony products. So we play a lot of games on their Sony PlayStation or on my N64. But once and obviously, you know, Final Fantasy is a single player experience for the most part. 11 changes a lot of that, but so like we didn't really play those games together as much anymore. We used to play a lot of the Super Nintendo ones together because we had one console to play on. But once we had that split, like, you know,
it's like my shit hates me.
Well, Code, I can't help it. I'll help you if your shit hates you. But yeah, like, so like, you know, I just happened to be play 7, 8, and 9 on my own terms.
There we go. There we fucking go.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, I had a problem. I just had I left it default as my speakers.
Oh, okay, that's why. Fair.
Yep.
But yeah.
Right. My one headset.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah,
now that
happens.
we've got that somewhat situated.
Yeah, I know. That's like one of the things that oops.
Yeah.
I almost screwed up the volume on my OBS. Anyway, so yeah, so that's why like 7, 8, and 9, I got to spend a lot more time playing those 3 games in particular, because, you know, since we had multiple consoles, when I was hanging out with my cousins, we played multiplayer games on the various ones. And then once I was alone, and since I had my own Sony PlayStation at the time, I got to play the single player games by myself. So I've been playing Final Fantasy since the very beginning.
I have not.
But definitely 7, 8, and 9 were where I spent a lot more time, really investing more time playing the games because of that. Code, what would you say is the first Final Fantasy that you really
Final
dropped?
Fantasy X-2.
Is it 10-2 that you dropped a lot of time into?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very strange one to start with, but at the same time,
it was
knowing
the first one I had.
Yeah.
It was the first one I had. I literally got it because I recognized the name. The Final Fantasy, and at the time it was the only one I had.
Yeah. Although, like, knowing our real age difference, like, it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, I did play the original Final Fantasy on the Nintendo. So I have no excuses. I don't know what's happening in my life.
Yeah, I didn't play Final Fantasy X until I was in high school. I got X-2 towards the end of my middle school years.
That makes sense.
Between that time, between those 2 times, it was like my not freshman, my sophomore year of high school. I had gotten it was either my sophomore or junior years in high school. I got Final Fantasy X, and by then I already had Final Fantasy VII and played through that. So, I have my own personal story for that one, and that makes me mad at myself more than I already am.
It's okay. So yeah, like yeah, you know, so yeah, like for me, like my 7, 8, and 9 experience was like the first time I was able to, other than like the original Final Fantasy. And mind you, let me preface this with, I play a lot of Final Fantasies in Japanese. I don't read and write Japanese, by the way.
But you can play Japanese games.
But me and my cousins, for whatever reason, got some, because like we didn't get all the Final Fantasy. We got 1, 2, and 3. We're like, well, where's the rest of it? Because this is the 6th one, right? So we got the others in Japanese. Very hard to play in Japanese. Not as hard as Dragon Quest. A big turnoff for me was that Dragon Quest is a lot harder to play as a game, because there's a lot of storyline you have to follow and focus on as you go through the series. Whereas Final Fantasy, because each of them are kind of a standalone, with I think similar battle mechanics from game to game. At most, like, you know, like you don't have to like follow the story as well. You'd be like, wow, this gameplay is stupid, I'm gonna play a different one which has slightly different gameplay and enjoy that one instead, you know. So that's why it was good for me. That's why I got into Final Fantasy more than Dragon Quest when I was a kid. Now, you know, like, you know, I like JRPGs as a whole. But let's talk about the big departure of Final Fantasy games, when like things really changed up. which starts with Final Fantasy 12.
Oh, that one. I did play that one. I did play that one.
You did play 12? So
I
Final
did
Fantasy
play
12. And this is going to be Final Fantasy 12 on?
Oh, actually, I can say all of it because I did not realize, like, all of the side content in it. Mm-hmm. And then honestly just burned through the story.
Yep. But this is like Final Fantasy 12 on. A certain member of the Final Fantasy franchise that's usually very high up in its creation and stuff is no longer a part of the team. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
Sakaguchi!
Really?
The Hironobu Sakaguchi is no longer a producer, no longer a writer, creator, etc., whatever, director, whatever thing, on Final Fantasy projects after Final Fantasy 11, where he was an executive producer.
And suddenly, a whole lot of shit makes sense.
So Final Fantasy 12, you know, really introduced kind of like, it kind of went back to like a more high fantasy setting of Final Fantasy. And you could see it because like Final Fantasy as a whole was never really high fantasy per se. Like the first two, very much so. But like afterwards, it's kind of like, you know, there's always technological elements. Once you got to 7, it's like boom, full steampunk.
Steampunk.
8, shit. 9 was higher fantasy than some of the previous entries, definitely than 7 and 8. But at the same time, like 9 felt it felt like a play being put on. Like it had a very different vibe. It felt like a complete package JRPG, and I wouldn't classify as high fantasy or otherwise really because of that. It's also a game that you appreciate a lot more as an adult than you do as a kid. Because as an adult, you go, wow, they did a lot of things well. As a kid, you go, wow, this game's too easy. That was my problem with it anyway. But yes, 10-2. Yeah, definitely, like, you know, definitely, it's like you go from city to backwaters, but nothing feels like super high fantasy. But 12 definitely goes back to that kind of style of like Star Wars. I mean, wait, what? Also 12 is the one that people jokingly reference as A New Hope, because it steals story beats from. It feels like it steals story beats from Star Wars: A New Hope, Star Wars Episode 4. But then you know, like they went, all right. I also felt very MMO like. 12 did, and then 13 they're like, all right, let's go back to more like realistic settings ish stuff. The direction on that one was kind of weird because essentially I think the director, which is if I'm not mistaken, the same director as the one for Kingdom Hearts, right?
What?
For Final Fantasy 13.
I'm sorry.
No, it isn't.
Yeah,
it's
Motomu. The conversation. I don't know what's going on, but I keep on. You keep on going.
I'm just trying to jump and get to the end of get to the most recent game.
All right.
But okay, no, never mind. It was Motomu Toriyama for Final Fantasy 13's director. Never mind. I was wrong.
I was gonna say. What was I gonna? I don't even know what I was gonna say anymore.
Yeah, but Final Fantasy 13, like, you know, changed focus again. This time, I feel sorry for that one because essentially the director was given the directive by Square Enix, like, make a female Cloud.
Basically, what's more, it was make a female Cloud with what, how we're promoting Cloud. In the middle of his depression from having children.
Now the funny part is they made an excellent character in Lightning. She's like one of the reasons why Final Fantasy 13 is worth playing. Is Lightning herself is a good character throughout the entire franchise. But you see so little of her in 13 too, and so it's also considered one of the worst. And like, there's so much bullshit in it at times. 14 is another MMO. That one also had a rough like first year where they had a stamina fatigue system that was really bad. A ton of people stopped playing like right away. They basically redid everything to make that game passable, and now it's a good game.
Eventually, they closed it down by literally just in the game's universe, destroying the universe and then recreating it with A Realm Reborn.
Yep.
And then, oh my god, they made the end of the world so fucking beautiful.
It's good times. And then Final Fantasy 15 came out in 2016.
I don't care what anyone says. I still like the game.
Yeah. No, I'm saying 14 is good now.
I'm talking about 15.
Oh no, 15. I know. I would also argue 15 is a good game, but I feel that there's the reason why there are some people who don't like 15. I'll get to that later. Because like, you know, we've been talking about Final Fantasy for 45 minutes. Code. What's your favorite Final Fantasy game?
My favorite is my top. I can tell you my top 3 right now. It's 6, 15, and 7.
And why is that?
Although 7 is kind of it. 7 is always constantly trading places with 10, in my opinion. And for her 6, there is not a character in 6 that I don't just adore.
That's fair.
For 7, I was kind of mad for the story for a good while, but after he tripped through Cloud's subconscious, saying and getting to see the real Cloud, that puts like, okay, I'm actually getting into this. For her 10. And as much as Tidus annoys the fuck out of me at times, I do feel for the kid. And for her 15, I really felt like I could really sympathize and feel for Noctis throughout the entire game. I mean, that's ultimately that leads me to liking a game or not, if I can feel for the character or not.
Well, I've talked about this on a previous podcast, as in like the one just preceding this one, but when it comes to like games, I really prefer gameplay is my number one go-to. In that regard, I really enjoyed some aspects of some of the Final Fantasies. When it comes to the number of Final Fantasies, I have a harder time arguing my case, only because Final Fantasy VI's storyline and characters stand out so much. The music is good. Like, let's put it this way. The music is good throughout the majority of Final Fantasy games, as a whole.
I forgot about tactics.
That's just a given.
I forgot about tactics.
It's just a given.
Can I change my answer and make tactics my number 3 with it's 7 and 10 warring to having an internal struggle to the death for my 4th place?
Sure.
There we go.
I'm okay with that. So yeah, so from my list, I judge things off of game mechanics. Things I can do that on my end that influences the gameplay. In that regard, one of my favorite games, my favorite Final Fantasy games is Final Fantasy VII. And people will hate me for it, but I have to say, the fact that the entire materia system is as basically just go buck wild, do whatever you want with materia. I enjoy that.
Fucking go.
I don't even care who the characters are.
Every piece of materia will change a character's stat.
Yeah. In that game, if your name is not Eris Gainsborough, I didn't know who you were. Who? Mr. T? Who? Bitch? Oh, that's Cloud. Bitch Cloud? Whatever. I don't know who that is. I don't care about them. Tits McGee? I don't care. My favorite characters in that game were Red 13, Eris, and Vincent, because I like edgelords that are better edgelords than the main character. Oh! Suck it, Cloud. You're a bitch anyway. I watch I'm gonna walk outside.
I actually did not care for Aerith.
It's okay. It's okay, Code. I'm
at all.
gonna walk outside and like literally like the 5 Cloud fans that know me IRL are probably gonna jump me now. Like, how dare you say that about Cloud? Like, come on, Zack Fair's a better character. They go, you're right, but we're still going to jump you for making fun of him. But god damn it! But yeah, like, Eris is my favorite character only because, like, she always seemed like a sympathetic type of character, but with an ulterior motive. And then you find out it's true. I'm like, ha, I knew it.
I cannot hear you at all.
Oh, you can't hear me? Code, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Man.
Yes. So like, my favorite is gonna be Final Fantasy VII simply because I really like the gameplay and game mechanics of it. You know, you have a cool little, and then you went into actual decent looking combat. You know, you can set up material to do whatever you want. The game offered a ton of fun mini games, in my opinion, right? Code, did you like the mini games of 7? Code?
What?
Did you like the mini games of 7?
I did. I'm sorry I didn't say anything, but I literally could barely hear you for most of that.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a combination of Skype, internet, and audio problems. That's what it sounds like, you know?
Probably.
Yeah. So, like, you know, 7 is good because of gameplay aspects. Story-wise, yo, you have to give it to 6.
Oh, God, yes.
Yo, spoilers for a game that's now over 20 years old as well. But Kefka goes, I want to fucking destroy the world. I did it.
Hey, guess what, motherfuckers? He does it. He fucking clown. I want to repeat that. A fucking clown destroys the goddamn world. Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
A fucking clown destroys the world.
And I have to give credit where credit's due. 6 is so good story-wise. It is one of the most solid 16-bit JRPGs ever. Unfortunately beaten out by a few entries, including one of Squaresoft's, because they were Squaresoft at the time, including one of Squaresoft's own other JRPGs called Chrono Trigger.
To be fair, it's Chrono Trigger, man.
I mean, Earthbound also. Yo, it ain't no Mother 3. I've seen Mother 3 now. I'm like,
God,
holy shit.
Mother 3. I will start crying. I don't need that shit right now.
But yo, Earthbound, also solid RPG.
Yeah. Just, oh god, yes. That is a very solid. Mwah.
And personal preference, Secret of Mana, only because me and my family, we play 3-player mode because we had a multi-tap.
Cool.
Playing Secret of Mana with 3 players is chaotic and a lot of fun.
I would imagine so.
But yeah, so Final Fantasy VI definitely a strong second finish in my list of numbered Final Fantasies. And then after that, we go to Final Fantasy 9.
Good choice, good choice.
And Final Fantasy 9.
With it.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 9 would round out my top 3 of numbered Final Fantasies because, simply put, it had some good side quests, in my opinion. It had some good challenges in terms of like forcing speedruns for Excalibur 2. It had some great and memorable moments. Like it's a good fusion of gameplay and character and story. It's not the best of either, though. I will say that right now. Final Fantasy IX is not the best of either. It's just the most polished version at the time of its release of both. So yeah, those are my top 3. Granted, if we include other Final Fantasy entries, yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics is my favorite game of all time.
Yeah, if we were going off of main series, we're just going to go back to what I said initially. A 6, 15, and then and 4. Not. Oh my god!
6.
I can't fucking word to save my ass again.
Don't worry, Code. I like Cecil too, but I know you like 6 better.
Oh god, yes. And the eternal struggle for third between 7 and 10.
Now here's a thing. Here's games that me and Code didn't agree on. 10. But you know, I think I can answer this one very simply. I like the 16-bit genre a lot. A ton. A lot more than most people know. So, some of my favorite games are going to be from that genre on the Super Nintendo. Some of my best memories. And everyone's going to be like, well, what about the nostalgia lenses of all? I'm like, you know what? Fuck nostalgia lenses. I understand that those exist. But I try to give games a fair treatment when I say, oh, I like this one over another. And I'm going to say I like 10 less only because I feel that it suffers in terms of storyline.
Oh, I'm not saying it doesn't suffer because of how its story can be.
It suffers from some of the worst, and I'll bet some of the funniest because of some of the worst, voice acting in the Final Fantasy franchise for voice. And it's the first one, so like, what? It's going to happen.
It is the first. To be fair, it is the first one to include voice acting, and B, people also need to remember some scenes like that forced laugh scene were done intentionally like that.
But it makes me laugh,
again,
Code.
They're forcing themselves to laugh right there.
But Code, it does make me laugh every time I hear that scene. And I'm way.
I know.
Actually, I like that scene because it's really bad, but it's done intentionally because Titus is really awkward.
Yep.
But you know, it doesn't have my favorite mini games. It doesn't have my favorite.
That's fair. That's fine. I personally love fucking Blitzball.
Oh no, I love Blitzball. Don't get me wrong. I really love Blitzball.
Let me amend my statement right now. I love the Blitzball from Final Fantasy X. I couldn't exactly stand it in 10-2, just because it's so much not even in your control anymore.
Yeah, and you know what's so funny? I'm gonna say it right now. I thought 10-2 was a much more fun game to play because I thought the dress sphere system was a lot more intuitive. And by the way, this only holds true for the original Final Fantasy X. The remake changed the sphere grid so you could access it easier and more efficiently, which was better. When I say easier, I don't mean it was easy. I meant that it made a lot more sense. I appreciate that. So, you know, don't get me wrong, like, when Final Fantasy X originally came out, my problems with the gameplay and stuff, some of them do get solved later on. But it doesn't change the fact that other than like, Blitzball, like, the mini-games in that game are kind of meh.
Yeah.
What was it? Also, you could just save enough money and just buy out everything with Yoshimitsu, right? Is that the one that you paid Gil for?
Fucking Yojimbo.
Oh, Yojimbo, yeah, that's what it was.
I have never seen him use Zanmod on my playthrough of it. Never once.
Dude, there are money farming guides that make that game ridiculously easy. You just one-shot everything. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you know, it results in boring game. It's the same reason why I don't like Final Fantasy VIII. I think it's boring gameplay because, like, yeah, just earn enough gil, use Yojimbo, you win the game. Just
I only had really one attempt to play it before, and and for me, the disc could not fucking work at all in my PS2.
Ooh.
So it's like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm over it. I don't care. I'll skip out on 8.
Ooh, that's yeah, that happens. Okay, Final Fantasy 15. This one might catch you as this might surprise you, Code, but Final Fantasy 15. The reason why a lot of JRPG fans don't like it, I'm talking strictly from the JRPG sense, not from people who don't like Final Fantasy 15 or people who hate Final Fantasy as a whole. Just from people who like JRPGs, okay, Code?
Okay.
It feels like it feels like a Western RPG.
I will admit that. It really does feel like a Western RPG.
Yeah.
I also think that it, kind of shot itself in the foot by being so overly ambitious that they put most of the backstory in various other mediums for it.
Yeah.
And because we have the movie which explains how Lunafreya gets our MacGuffin ring to begin with. And
I'm not gonna lie, that's all things that are shortcomings for the gameplay. It's just, and you know what, and it's even in modern games, not the only game that makes that mistake. Yeah. One of the best games of 2017, Breath of the Wild, Champions Ballad DLC. That should not be DLC.
It really shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have been, but it was still, again, part of the game eventually.
As DLC.
Yes, but again, we got
the
entire dynamic.
But Code, I'm basically agreeing with you in a sense that they didn't put in some of the story things that I would have liked to.
That should have been in right from the start.
Exactly.
Yes.
And ultimately, Final Fantasy 15 is not a bad game, guys.
No, it's
All
not.
the haters out there saying it's a bad game, like, they need to get over themselves. It is not a bad game. Not by a long shot.
It was one channel, Game Ranks, has a list of 10 games that you really should give a second shot, and Final Fantasy 15 is right on there. Yeah. It's like one of the first entries. Is on it. It's
people complain about, and this is true for everything, but granted, people complain that, oh my god, this is a bad game. It's like, no, it's a bad Final Fantasy game. Get over yourself.
Yes.
Like, if you don't like it as a Final Fantasy game, that's fine. That's a valid argument. Stop not liking games because it's popular to not like them.
This goes right back into an argument, a thing, and Azure and I were saying over the KH stream last night. I can't even remember which game it was. It's like, it's a bad this game.
Oh, Dream Drop Distance.
For this franchise.
Dream Drop Distance.
But yeah, thank you. I cannot remember.
Yeah, no, I was the one that said it too. I was like, hey, Dream Drop Distance is my second. My second is in my book the second worst Kingdom Hearts game. But it's the second worst Kingdom Hearts game. It's still a good game.
I'm not saying it's a bad game.
If you said if you put Dream Drop Distance and Final Fantasy 15 next to each other,
a lot of people just don't make for whatever reason.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So same thing. Final Fantasy 15 is a bad Final Fantasy game. It's not even close to the worst Final Fantasy game. First of all, okay. All y'all who only played numbered Final Fantasies don't know the horror show that is some of the really bad Crystal spin-offs that get shit on, even though the first one in the entry was first game in the franchise in the series was really good. Ugh, damn it, Square, get it right. Seriously.
Anime.
What up?
I could not, after you said Crystal, I could not hear a single word you said. But once you said Crystal, it's like, oh, the Crystal Chronicles. It's just like, oh god, the Crystal Chronicles.
I'm just saying, man. They Square Enix keeps ruining that series with bad games that are released in it. All worse than Final Fantasy 15 easily. The first one was really good though. Oh, and then there's this piece of shit. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. That is the worst fucking piece of garbage game of all time that has a Final Fantasy name attributed to it. This ain't no Mario 2. Super Mario Brothers 2, amazing game.
Animal?
Sup?
Are you talking about the American Super Mario?
Yes,
2
the
or
American one.
Japanese Super
The American
Mario
one.
2?
American one. The one that's Doki Doki Panic.
You got it.
It got released in Japan as Super Mario Bros. 2 USA as well, alright? It's a real game. It exists. And, you know, Mystic Quest also got released as Final Fantasy Mystic Quest USA.
Sorry about this. I just need to move my meat that I'm getting to be having for my dinner back into my fridge because it was frozen and I needed to thaw.
That's fair. You have to thaw the meat.
Thaw the meat!
Thaw the meat!
Sidetracked all the time, boy! And all that other good stuff.
Yeah, like,
that you do, Code.
Yeah, so people who say Final Fantasy 15 is a bad game, go play some fucking Mystic Quest and tell me that. I suffered through that shit for so long. And what this game is garbage.
Anime?
Garbage.
Anime?
Garbage.
Should we get a hold of somebody to get you a medal?
Why?
Just because you suffered through that shit?
No.
You fucking deserve a medal.
No, I don't need a medal. I need therapy. That game was so bad.
You deserve a medal. You need therapy.
So no. 15 is not a bad game, guys. As I told to Linda before earlier in this thing, yo, you got Final Fantasy 15 for $10? Yo, well worth it. I've enjoyed that game for a lot more than $10
I was
worth.
gonna say, fuck, I've logged in over 100 hours on it.
I was saying, like, you could probably
That
do...
was back, and I want to note that this was back when it first released, too.
Yeah, Code, as I was saying before, I think Final Fantasy 15 is definitely a game that you could beat it in like 25 to 35 hours, but you could also pour 100 plus, 150-ish hours into it.
And even Azure admits, Azure's gone on record a few times on the stream, I think, and saying, I probably should have played Final Fantasy 15 like how you played it instead of how I played it.
How did he play it?
Because he went right for the story. Me, I did every fucking side quest I could. And literally only went back to the story when somebody like Gladio at one point even admits, hey, my sister, dude, let's go get my sister. Like, oh yeah, we do have that story bit to do. Let's go do that.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm at the water town, as in like the place where you're supposed to ride a boat or something. But like I got too busy because they had some side quests I could do before I even started anything there. So I was like, sweet, more side questing. Dude, I think Final Fantasy in general, I think has some really cool side quests. Some really fun ones. And some really funny ones too. And I think that's a whole throughout it. And like just going back to like some of my favorites, Final Fantasy Tactics. There's an entire separate, basically the equivalent of hard mode dungeon called Deep Dungeon, the original PlayStation version of it. That is a series of like really hard maps and battles with its own gimmicks. And I think that's really cool. And in the War of the Lions remake, it's called, I believe, Twilight's Deep or something like that. Yo, Final Fantasy VII has the gold saucer.
Oh god, the gold saucer.
You could spend hours there.
I have spent hours there.
There and the Chocobo breeding ranch.
And let's face it, just about everyone who got their fucking gold Chocobo got their gold Chocobo through incest.
Or you beat Ruby Weapon.
Yeah, but that gold chocobo sucks.
Also, then you lose the Desert Rose unique item.
Yeah. Even though I don't really think the Desert Rose does anything other than, oh hey, we can trade this in for a gold chocobo. That sucks.
I mean, you know, that's how some people got knights around. Yep. Also, yeah, Final Fantasy VII had like extra. Final Fantasy VII also had like bonus bosses that were harder than the last boss.
I still have never beat Diamond. Not Diamond.
Emerald?
Emerald or Ruby.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, Code. You have to look up the YouTube video about the guy who beats it without pressing a button.
My fucking god.
Yo, it's insane. Like, he literally has this, like... And it's because of how the game code works, I didn't even know this. Like, but if you set up, like, certain materia in certain ways, like, all your final attacks and stuff go off in strange ways sometimes. And that's literally what the guy did. It's like, I'm like, that's insane. That's really cool. Literally beat Ruby and Emerald Weapon without touching a button on his controller.
Holy shit.
Walks into the battle. Like, after he sets up, walks into the battle, boom.
Then
the battle gets to play itself. I'm like, that's insane. It's something you could do as well, Code.
Well, the thing is, because originally it was on my PS2 with my PlayStation memory card.
Mm-hmm.
See, what got me pissed off was in high school, I let a kid borrow my copy of 7 and my guidebook for it.
Mm-hmm.
In turn, he let me borrow, what was it? His copy of 8, which I want to note, didn't even fucking work off of my PlayStation. And oh god, this one anime series that I can't even remember the name of. It was something. It was Loey the Room Knight or something.
Oh, okay.
So what got me pissed off was I had to miss school for a couple days, and he fucking moved in that goddamn time. So it's like, I'm not getting that shit back.
Hey, Code's friend. Oh, quote-unquote friend.
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Fuck you! Give Code back his Final Fantasy VII now!
It's not like I didn't buy the digital version from my PSP. So I do have access to it.
Did you get the Switch version?
I did not, actually.
It came out. Switch version as well. Code's like, oh, well, if you Final Fantasy VII, whenever I feel like it, you say,
And then, at some point, I actually ran into that one bug, where you can't fucking go up the goddamn ladder in the split path in the northern crater.
oh,
So
yeah.
I got stuck there. It's like, and the best part is, I just got done grinding a shit ton of materia. So I was literally all fucking ready to go. I'll fight some super bosses. It's like, nope, I can't leave. God fucking damn it.
Sad
So
times,
yeah, that
Code.
happened.
Now, with that said, I will say that as a person who has beaten Final Fantasy VII multiple times, yeah, the minigames are fun. Getting Omni Slash is fun times. Grinding out materia. Forgetting to visit a cave because you have like all of a minute of gameplay to go and visit a cave once you have the submarine for the first time. To not miss it because you switch discs shortly thereafter. I think you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, sure. I've gone through all of that. It's for Vincent's final thing.
Ah, Lucrezia.
Yeah, you have to go there like at the end of like disc 2, I believe it is, right?
You can go there as soon as you've got the submarine and Vincent in your party. That's
Yeah,
really
which is
all your.
But you get the summary literally at the end of disc 2, and if you miss it, you miss it permanently because you go there at disc 3 and then you can't.
Animo?
Yeah.
It does trigger in disc 3.
No, you can't. No, you can't get it. You can't get the final thing from her though.
25 battles. If you do it in disc 3, you need to do 25 battles in the field and then go back.
Lies. I've never had that happen.
I've done it intentionally on my PS2 version.
I'm gonna look this up right now. Like, no way.
It's just, you have to spend like 25 battles in the overworld.
I have to find it from like way back in the day.
Yep. Get the good old Wayback Machine running. This is not very cost effective.
I guess we can. Apparently it's less battles than that too. What? What? Yo, on my original playthrough of Final Fantasy on the PlayStation 1, I didn't get the thing, and then like I looked it up at the time, and they're like, "Oh yeah, if you don't talk to her in disc 2, you don't get the disc, don't get death penalty in disc 3." I'm like, what the fuck? That's bullshit. I literally restarted my game.
Poor Animu.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I've beaten the game multiple times. I've missed it every time, but like 2.
I was gonna say, did you at least beat the weapons? Because then you can say, "Oh hey, I did do something Code didn't do."
No, I've not only beaten all the weapons, I've raised the ultimate gold chocobo to walk to knights that are around and be like, "Hey, I'm here now."
Yeah.
Code knows Final Fantasy 6 and 7, Ezra. Fair. But man, yeah, I missed it for no reason. I was like, oh man. Also, to be fair, Code, when you play Final Fantasy 7, did you do the Wutai side quest like as soon as you could?
I did not hear the question.
In Final Fantasy 7, did you do the Wutai side quest as soon as you could?
I missed part of it that time.
Okay, in Final Fantasy 7,
Yes.
did you do the Wutai side quest?
Oh yes, I do the
As
Wutai
soon
side quest
as you
as
could.
soon as I get the tiny Bronco.
Yup. I did too. I remember people used to get annoyed at me because I had a Yuffie that was way over leveled and she had her ultimate weapon and everything.
Funny story, because I actually had 2 copies of Final Fantasy VII, because one of them would not fucking work at a certain point. And I could do, and it was, and I remember how I got it to work for the longest time until it just would not work at all. And that was, well, because at one part in the Sector 5 slums, it would, at just about any battle, had a chance of just black screening. So eventually, I got the bright idea to just pop open my fucking PS2 and swap discs. And that did work for a good while. Up until Wutai. I was stuck on Wutai. I was like, I don't have any materia. Nearly all my items are... I've spent nearly all my items, so getting back to the tiny Bronco to haul my ass back to any other town is not happening. And I can't finish Wutai because it just won't, nothing will load.
Guys, this is Code's version of ROM hacking.
So eventually I got a second copy. It's like, oh my god, it's working. Thank fuck, I'm gonna fucking kill everything. And I did. But yeah, I have never not, there are things I have never done in Final Fantasy VII. And that is, I've never not had fucking Omni-Slash before I've ever stepped foot in the Northern Crater. Either in Disc 3. I've never not done Wutai as soon as I got the Tiny Bronco. And I don't think the first time I played, I did miss, getting everybody's level 4 limit. I want to note that I said everybody's.
I think, you probably missed Eris, right?
No, I actually got it after she died.
Oh. Yeah, no.
Just like,
I used Eris's ultimate limit break, her level 4 limit break in battle before.
mm,
Shit's broken.
yes, it is. Yes, it fucking is.
And yes, the only time I missed, or I thought I missed something was when I missed Vincent's thing in Lucretia Cave. And I restarted my game over it.
You thought you missed it.
Thought I missed it. But now we don't know because I got it the time right after. Didn't forget that time. Also, I had a gold chocobo, so it didn't matter at that time. But whatever.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Just because I have my gold chocobo doesn't mean I don't like to take my submarine out, my airship to go cruising.
No, I'll cruise on my airship, but I'll ride my gold chocobo only.
Oh hell yeah.
Whereas my black chocobo literally destroys all the chocobo stuff.
For me, it was always that black chocobo is usually born out of incest, though.
I mean, born out of incest runs like it was running away from it.
I know, right? And then your black chocobo is typically born out of incest, and then the moment you add some new blood, some new genes to the gene pool, bam, the best fucking chocobo in the goddamn game.
Well, the most versatile chocobo. My best one was still the black chocobo.
Really?
Yeah. My black chocobo outstatted every chocobo.
My gold one was just so fucking broken.
Yeah, no, my gold one couldn't even beat my black one in any stat. It was insane. My black one was so good, literally, I could just enter the race, put the control down. Like, I won.
Yeah, which one was it? In one of my, currently 3 or 4 playthroughs, I actually got my fucking, mountain or rivers. It was nearly max. My black was max. Ended up being max. It wasn't max at the start, and then my gold was just max, born max. And so if I was on, I think it was my river. So if I was on my river, black, or gold, I could not lose. It was even if it was, I just let them do their own thing.
By the way, I wanted to let you guys know that, yes, we have been talking for the last 10 minutes on essentially the equivalent of cockfighting. So just saying, yeah, it's great minigames, man. Raising chocobos.
Racing. Not cockfighting.
Might as well be the same thing. We inbred this one. We call this one sister. But yeah, like, yeah, good times. We should talk about other Final Fantasies. as well, though.
Probably.
Yo, Azur, you say you know all of Final Fantasy 13? I think neither me nor Code can say the same.
I know I can't. He knows I can't.
Let's talk about Final Fantasy 10. You know, that's a good one.
That is a good one.
That's it. You know what? I still like 10-2 better, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, 10-2... Like, I didn't like most of 10-2's story. But when it comes to the gameplay, I like the gameplay. I hated Riku's new design in it. I was like, 15-year-old girl, put some clothes on, bitch. I didn't actually say that to Riku, guys, but, you know what I mean. Like, get some clothing on, Riku. And Payne's like, I'm emo. And Yuna and Riku are like, we're your friends. And Payne's like, I'm less emo.
Yep. Yep.
Like, Payne, I'll be honest, flat honest. Payne would have been a shitty character without Yuna and Riku being like, hey! And make her feel like a real human being. Dress spheres. Some people call it Final Fantasy Barbie. Highly disagree. Unlike a Barbie game that requires you to get multiple games to get to different job classes, this one had them all in one. And it had different stats and skills and stuff involved in it. It was a lot of fun to play. You know, I think Final Fantasy X is a pretty cut and dry game in comparison. It's like, Yuna must go on this journey and sacrifice herself. And basically that's all. That's the entire story. By the way, spoilers. She doesn't.
Question, why the fuck does the 14-year-old look like he's at least 18?
Who?
Yuna.
Yuna's not 14, is she?
In 10, she is.
What? I thought she was like 17. What?
No, she's only 16 in 10 too.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's a year older than Riku.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, snap. We all going to jail. No, I'm kidding.
So, yeah, everyone who's got Riku or Yuna as your waifu, have fun in jail.
Ha, joke's on you. My favorite character was Lulu until Waka ruined it.
Waka's great.
Waka's great. But you know what? Waka's that's a representation of real life. People are like, oh man, I can't believe Waka got Lulu. Joke's on you guys. You know a guy that makes a girl laugh. He's the one that gets a girl. If you're on Waka Waka,
get our walking belt fetish.
I like Lulu. You know why? She wasn't like emo. She was like dark and mysterious and cast black magic, and she was really good at. She was a really good caster. I appreciated that. Like, yes.
I never said she was emo. I just said she was a walking belt fetish.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's okay, Code. You say walking belt fetish, but I looked at some of the games you play, Kingdom Hearts.
What do you want? I had a belt fetish for years.
He must have also liked Lulu.
Also, going off of that going off the logic of the anime logic of the more belts you have, the more powerful you are. Lulu should be borderline unfucking stoppable then.
Also, didn't Lulu have that like Moogle plushie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I liked her as well.
Oh yeah.
Like, come on. She's mysterious. She's cool. She casts black magic like a champ. She has a Moogle plushie. I'm like, yo, that's the best character right there.
I have never been able to get her fucking in overdrive more than 5.
Yeah. You that's like unnecessary.
I mean, seriously, what was it? Rotating the right stick counterclockwise? Ugh.
Dude, I play Mario Party, no problem.
Yeah, but even then, and still could barely ever get 5.
Yeah. Final Fantasy X was fun. But like I said, like for me it's lacking in mini games and side quests.
Oh, it
and
very
story.
much is lacking in mini games.
Like other than Blitzball. Blitzball is so fun.
Great, but
Final Fantasy X Blitzball at least was really great.
Really, Blitzball and Lightning Dodger, and Lightning Dodger is just murder on your eyes.
I can't believe they like brought that back for 10-2 as well.
Did they bring back Lightning Dodger? I know they. I don't remember Lightning Dodger being in 10-2. I do know it was Recalibrate the Towers.
I thought they did.
I'm pretty sure. I distinctly remember a Recalibrate the Towers minigame, but I do not recall a Lightning Dodger minigame for 10-2.
Oh, maybe it was only in 10. I don't know.
First one.
I just remember that was like the shittiest. Like that's a stupid minigame / side quest, lightning dodging. I'm gonna say it right now. Like it was dumb.
Again, like I said, murder on your fucking eyes. That's because you had to press X as the screen flashes, and if you try to just use a turbo controller, nope, that shit's not gonna work, and you need to do it 250 times to get the sigil to power up Lulu's celestial weapon, so it's not complete shit.
And I did it. Did not appreciate it.
I did not. I actually only fucked it up because I kept on forgetting. Oh, hey, you can't if you open the menu. Your counter resets. If you leave the area, your counter resets.
Yep. It's very true.
Yep.
But yeah, like, yeah, no, I've done all the annoying things like that. The 100 Super Jump Medal in freaking Super Mario RPG. Things like that. Yo, Squaresoft, calm your shit. Yo, make it like 10 times, okay?
Yes.
Make it 25 at worst, alright?
I can argue and say doing 100 at worst.
I don't know,
but
man.
200 is just ridiculous.
100 Super Jumps is also pretty ridiculous.
I was talking about the Lightning Dodger there.
Even lightning dodging 100 is ridiculous, and you have to do it twice that much.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm not saying it's not ridiculous. I'm saying it's at least, you know, doable. But fucking Christ, 200 times?
It is doable for 200 times too, Code. It's just as annoying as the first 100.
Yeah.
Unless you go to the place where it only strikes that one spot in, like, right outside Guado Salom, whatever it is.
I did not know that.
Yeah, there's like some sort of trick to it. Which is bullshit, because I did it the hard way. And then I found out about the trick later. I was like, God fucking damn it.
What I didn't find out about until later was, SP farming.
Oh.
The sphere grid farming method.
I did not know about that either.
It does involve getting a certain type of large enemy for the monster arena, so that means you're going to be collecting a shit ton of monsters. I can't remember where the enemies are, or if it's the collect 10 of to unlock this particular enemy, but the monster arena enemy is a giant fucking Tonberry.
Oh! Was it in the Final Fantasy X completionist episode?
I think so, yes.
As well? Yeah, I
think he does talk about it.
Yeah, I think you know about it now.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, no, that was stupid.
Yes, it was.
But, you know, not the worst thing in the world. Tomberries are annoying enemies, though.
Tomberries are always annoying. And here's the thing. The first Tomberry I ever encountered was a goddamn Master Tomberry in the Northern Cave in fucking Final Fantasy
And Code, if you're like any other person who plays RPGs, you had your main 3 for basically the entire game, huh?
It wasn't my game. I was playing off of my cousin's file, encountered that shit, and it wiped me. And I want to note that he wasn't level. He wasn't even level. He got to the Northern Cave. He was practically at the end, and he's not even level 40.
So, just so you guys know, what Master Tomberries do is they deal damage in Final Fantasy VII based off of the amount of enemies that character has killed.
Well, there's still three shots in the party, so he definitely did enough. So, hey, I don't give a fuck. Oh, and the best part? He didn't have any way of doing enough damage to kill them.
Let's see. Master Tomberries in Final Fantasy VII have 44,444 HP.
Yeah, he couldn't do that. The strongest attack was barely doing 3,000 to it. Like, just barely.
I'm just looking at how much damage he does.
So yeah, that would happen the very first time I played Final Fantasy VII. Got wiped by a Master Tonberry. Well, I can't say it's not an interesting way to go.
Alright, so here's why Master Tomberry is really bad. It had 2 attacks. It had Knife, which inflicts instant death.
And everybody's grudge.
And everyone's grudge. Deals damage equal to the number of kills the target character has amassed, multiplied by 10. Mind you, this is a JRPG. You've been playing this for a few dozen hours. Your best characters that you're probably using at this point, because it's the final dungeon, leading towards the final boss fight, probably have amassed a few thousand kills each. Hell, if you
requires Cloud, who you only have a few segments of with him not in party, so he's almost always going to have a shit ton of kills.
You know what the really funny part was, Code, for me? I had the Death Force spell, which made you immune to death, right? And I brought my team of, I'm gonna bring, I haven't used these characters, so I'm gonna bring them into Northern Crater team. Of Sid. Who is it? Sid, Kate Sith, and Vincent. I actually don't use Vincent that much. I know Vincent is on everyone's favorite, but I'm a big proponent of Cloud, Yuffie, Barrett.
For me, my team typically ends up being Cloud, Vincent, Tifa.
Yeah, Cloud, Vincent, Tifa is like the go-to because they cover like everything you need in a team, and they do a lot of damage because of their limit breaks, guys. Like realistically, that's the only real difference. But no, so like I don't use Vincent on, so I brought Sid, Vincent, and Kate Sith, and let me give you a sampling. You know how much damage everyone's grudge was doing?
How much?
100. 120. 250. I was like, oh wow, this is easy. Thanks, Death Force spell.
Animu, fuck you.
Dude, what are the chances? I'm saying, just what are the chances? Except the fact I know Tomberries are there, so Master Tomberries are there, so yeah, that was the chances.
really did appreciate in 15. And the only real Tonberry that was any sort of okay, this thing is a little bit scary to fight, but I can still take him down, was the goddamn side mission in Altissia, where you had to fight the Master Tonberry. That was about it. And even then, you can still get them done pretty damn fast.
44,000 is not too bad HP wise, but you know, essentially when you're 100% in the game, which was the reason why I was using this strange team in North Crater.
I have to ask how you were doing that, because when Cloud's available, it's mandatory to have him in party.
No, it isn't.
It's not
at the end of the game. No.
I've never been able to switch him out at the end of the game.
Yeah, then post live stream, you can switch him out.
Huh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
It never let me do that.
Yeah, disc 3, man. Do it.
That requires having to get back to disc 3 again.
Dude, you're gonna buy it again for the Switch and play on the go.
You're not wrong. I'm not even gonna deny that one. You're not wrong.
Dude, literally the only reason I made that team was so I could see Sid's limit break, because I was like, yo, I'm 100%ing. You have to see his limit break now. But yeah, like no, Master Tonberry. The final one you can actually switch your team around and stuff. And I think before the final battle gives you another chance to redo all your party anyway, so.
Yeah. And the final battle, you can make, well, depending on if you're done. I don't remember what the requirement is to actually make all 3 teams, but you can make up to 3 different teams.
You have to have at least 7 party members. Is what I think it is.
No, because the first time I fought Safer Sephiroth, the game only made me make 2 teams. And I had all available characters.
You had all 8 of them?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did too. Like.
And then afterwards, it's like, oh hey, make 3 teams.
Not sure.
I don't know. Never did figure that out. Never bothered to learn why. So like, okay, roll with it.
But yeah, the enemy skill materia in Final Fantasy VII was pretty good. Actually, Kuna in Final Fantasy IX is also very good because Kuna's thing is about enemy skills as well.
One thing I did not like about Final Fantasy X-2.
What's up?
New Game Plus does not carry over blue magics.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying.
Especially when you've got a handful of them that you only get a limited number of shots at getting.
I mean, that's
so getting it for all 3 characters is a pain in the dick.
I mean, you know, that's true for Final Fantasy VII as well.
Yeah. Getting Shadow Flare is not fun. Let me rephrase that. Getting Shadow Flare for all 4 enemy skill materials is not fun.
Wait, what? What do you say, Coach?
Shadow Flare and Pandora's Box.
Oh.
That's in 7. The enemy skills in 7. Shadow Flare's Safer Sephiroth ultimate weapon that I know. Oh, Ruby weapon has it. I don't remember if Emerald has it or not.
Shadow Flare?
Yeah.
Let me look it up.
I know one's the final boss, so you don't get to keep it if you get it there. One of them, Ultima, only does it Was it when you kill it for the last time?
Pandora's Box is also Dragon Zombie only.
Yeah.
That was annoying.
Yeah, it was.
I remember
Isn't
that.
I'm sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't it only do it like once per game?
Pandora's Box?
I'm
not sure. I forgot about Angel's Whisper. That's good. So White Wind.
Oh yeah. That one's fun, having to take it from a woman. Having to try to get that one. I swear, I'm not trying to keep on doing that, I just am doing that. We go back to 7. It's like, hey, we leave for a little bit, we go back to 7. We go leave for a little bit, we go back to 7. I'm not trying to do that.
It's right in the middle. Basically, it's gonna be the one we talk about. It's better than 8. We're not gonna talk about 8 that much.
We're not gonna talk about 8. I mean, why bother talking about 8? Another one of my favorite ones that is not part of the main number series is Final Fantasy Typo. And it's more or less because of the ending. Because everything goes to shit. Just like everything goes to shit.
Okay, Pandora's Box. Due to the game's programming, the Dragon Zombie only used the Pandora's Box once per save file. We'll never use it again. To learn Pandora's Box on all 4 enemies' skill materia, all 4 must be equipped on the party. Even if the Dragon Zombie fails to cast it, due to not having enough MP, none of the others will cast it. So it has to have enough MP and actually cast it, and you have to have all 4 equipped.
Yep. That was fun. I actually did manage to pull that one off.
Dude,
somehow.
yeah, I remember I had to save Trine to get all 4 because you had to save it because the last enemy material is in the Chocobo Sage Cabin, and the only way to get it is to get it from Godo. So I had to save the Godo fight until after I got the last enemy skill material when I was 100% in the game. That was stupid.
The only reason I knew about how that was because I had the guide.
Yeah, I had a full guide out because I think Chocobo breeding in that one also took like another 60 hours of my time. Stupid.
Only 60? Don't be a big bitch.
Hey, I save scum. 60 hours of in-game time, okay? Trust me, my save file at the end when I 100% Final Fantasy 7 was like, wow, I poured 200 something hours into this bullshit.
That
I'm
sounds
happy.
About right.
I'm like, I'm happy.
Yeah, that checks out.
You know how easy it is to 100% the original Final Fantasy, guys? Do that shit in like 12 hours.
I was gonna say, the biggest time sink is getting War Machine to spawn.
Oh, that was easy.
He only has a, 1 in 64 chance.
Yeah, that was easy.
And it's on the bridge before for the crystal.
Yeah, that was easy for me.
Full of wind. And of course, he does, again, 1 in 64 shot. So you can easily, fuck it up. But, them's the breaks.
Yep. Whitewood was a bullshit move, I forgot. This is fun to look at.
Yes, it is. Now, I don't remember if this is actually true or not, but one thing I did like was, at least to me, if it was great, if it wasn't, then I was just seeing things that weren't there again.
Mm.
But in Type O, on the PSP. So in the original.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could have sworn at one point it did imply that the Gilgamesh we meet in Final Fantasy V onward was actually the Gilgamesh from Type O.
Oh, is it? I don't know, because I haven't played Type 0. I own the game on Steam, but...
I don't remember if this was actually the case or not. I might have just been seeing things that weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we do know that in Type O, Gilgamesh is supposed to be the Byaku Nation's L'Cie. Oh hey, you all remember L'Cie from Final Fantasy 13? Well, originally Type O has going to be part of the 13 universe. Same with 15. But that fell through and they became two separate things.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Type O is a very, it's got a very dark setting. That does not hesitate to escalate very quickly. Well, at the opening of the game, because most of the game is basically your home nation against the nation of Byaku, which at that point has taken control of nearly the entire world, with only the nation of Suzaku's capital city remaining.
I should play Type 0.
And at one point in the mission, because in that mission, you don't just die right away. Everybody is made up of, every human and monster has this thing called Photoma inside of them. And we see a gigantic, massive shadow just come and rip out the Photoma of a bunch of dead soldiers. And for a brief battle, we just have to survive as it's just raining down death upon you. Basically death.
No. Doesn't sound good.
He leaves after like a minute. Not even a whole minute, like 30 seconds. He just kind of says, fuck you, and disappears. And you won't honestly see him again for a good long while after that. He does become an optional boss later on after you pick up the airship, which, oh hey, surprise, it's a Final Fantasy. Surprise, surprise, there's an airship.
Oh no, right? Yeah, there's an airship in every Final Fantasy, guys.
Yeah.
Except Tactics. Except spin-offs. When the numbered series, they all have one.
The spin-offs don't typically, but can.
Does 13 have one?
I think 13 has one.
That's a good question.
I'm pretty sure Azure's about ready to head to work, so and as far as I know, he's the only one we can reliably shout out for an answer.
I know 15 has one. I know 12 has one. I know 10, 10-2, obviously.
But when you fight it, it's basically a matter of you can't actually directly damage this thing unless you don't rip out Photoma. And at that point, the whole game is constantly has taught you to, oh hey, an enemy died, rip out its Photoma, because that's how you get a good number of your shit. That's how you power up your spells. That's because the spells don't level up like you do. So instead, there's a whole grid system for them. In which, sure, it can be annoying, but it can and the way spells behave is kind of limited, because you've only got, for offensive, you've really only got bomb type spells. There's bomb spells and rifle type spells. Bomb types just explode around you for an area of effect.
Okay.
And rifles are your typical fireball, like that. Except for light.
All right.
And eventually, once you get high enough, you can get spells like Holy and Ultima. But you really gotta work your Crystarium for that. But yeah, when you go to the final boss, which is even called, I forget what its specific name is, but it is called the Darkness of Suzaku. It is basically a giant, I almost want to call it a skeletal phoenix of just darkness and death. Because that thing survives off of ripping out the phantom of everything else. So not really a phoenix, but it's the skeleton inside of it is kind of like a phoenix. Definitely bird-like.
Got it.
And if you couldn't tell, the major nations are Suzaku, Ubyaku, Ukembu, and Seiryu.
Oh no,
Yeah.
the 4 guardians of Kyoto.
Yup.
By the way, Code, I also noticed it's 2:55. You know what that means?
Yes, I know.
You have to start calling it. So, we have to end this, and usually have a conclusion where we wrap things up, or we just make shit up. So, we're gonna do the latter, just make shit up. So, Code,
What?
if you were to design Final Fantasy 16, what is one thing you 100% absolutely positively would want in the game?
I would honestly want something like the Arm Geiger system.
All right.
But I want to note specifically the Royal Edition Arm Geiger system, which adds the accessory which does change up how Arm Geiger works.
Sounds good.
Because instead of just being a slight power up, you do get a specific skill set with it too. So that is something I definitely would want.
All right.
I enjoyed it anyways.
Yeah, on my end, I just want a super hard boss fight against Lingering Will. Okay, that's it. See you guys. Peace.
Lingering Will and everything.
See ya. I hope you guys enjoyed. What? Yes. End of